Well said. All right, I think we have everyone here on the committee. It's 10:47. We're just a little behind. That's fine, but we're all here. And this meeting of the Planning and Policy Committee. And do we do a roll call on this?
Nope, you don't need to.
Okay. So our first item is public comment. So anyone that would care to speak to the committee, please approach the podium. State your name and your location of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm John Schultz. I live in Grand Haven Township on 178th Avenue. I gave these comments at the previous meeting, so I apologize for some overlap here. I'm a retired guy, I can't write 2 speeches in a day, so that would be too tough. But I was the Parks Director for over 3 decades prior to Jason's tenure. Back then there were 9 parks, a little over 400 acres. Parks were not in very good shape. County was not known for a good park system. Tunnel Park, for example, the tunnel was solid graffiti. You couldn't fit another spray painting thing in that tunnel. That was kind of the condition of the parks. So our initial charge was to upgrade the quality, and the board was very helpful in giving us matching grants, and we were able to go through pretty much the whole park system and upgrade things. And so thanks to those efforts, people started to think, hey, this park system could be something, and they started to take a little pride in it. But as the population grew back in the mid-90s, it became really clear that we did not have anywhere near enough parkland. Jean Lau Carroll, who was a county commissioner who was instrumental in getting the Parks Commission formed back in 1987, she led the charge for expanding the park system. She thought of proposing a millage. There was back then there were 15 county board members. Just one was vocal in support of the millage. Everybody else, though, to their credit, said we're going to let the voters decide what they thought. So back in 1996, voters did approve a 0.33 levy. It was a 53.5% approval, I think it was. And the resulting funding really helped the parks. It combined with public and private grants, which did a tremendous amount, helped us grow into one of the most really respected park systems in the state. And then that millage was approved twice. I think the next one was, just in my memory here, in the 68%, and then I think 70%. So, the public support really grew, which was wonderful to see. But now the parks millage is really consumed by operations and major renovations of all the existing infrastructure. And so it leaves really no room for new improvements, for things like adding modern restrooms, making regional trail connections, expanding outdoor education programs, or even taking advantage of new opportunities when they arise. And there will be some things come up that really make sense, like Ottawa Sands did. And Ottawa Sands wasn't really even part of our vision for the first millage, so that was really on top. So, okay, that can be done. Just my one comment to wrap up would be, I just hope that the board will give the voters a chance once again to make a decision on how much they want to invest in the parks. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Good morning.
Morning.
I apologize for redundancy also, but I'll try and abbreviate my remarks. My name is Bobby Sabine. I live in Grand Haven. I served on the Parks Commission for 12 years, and I have been involved with the Parks Foundation for an additional 11 years. For many people, I think the millage question will come down to how much will this cost me personally? And the answer is not much. I live in a fairly average house in downtown Grand Haven, and in 2025, I paid a total parks millage levy of $38.96, which I consider to be a bargain. For about 11 cents a day, I get access to 7,000 acres of public land. With an increase, we would pay another 6 cents a day. So total cost to me and my husband would be less than 17 cents a day, or less than 9 cents each, 9 cents a day. Our parks provide benefits even to those who say they never set foot in parks. They improve our property values. They protect our natural resources. Our public green spaces help keep our air and water cleaner. And local business owners tell us that having this park system helps them attract a highly qualified workforce. People want to live in Ottawa County. We have a huge percentage of our population that actively uses our parks. The last survey showed 87% of Ottawa County households visited a park at least once last year. And the demand for our parks continues to grow, and along with that demand, we need to grow our services, and we can do that. So do I think this is worth my personal cost of 9 cents a day? You bet I do. And just in conclusion, one thing Ottawa County Parks has been diligent about is listening to the public. So what we're hearing from the public is, we really like what you're doing and we want more, and we would like to give the public more. So let's give them a chance to consider our request. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning again, Steve Rice, live in Crockery Township. I'll try to change it up a little bit here for you. Really, the idea was I just wanted to share with you through work and opportunities. I grew up in Michigan. I was an East Sider, like I said earlier, not necessarily, doesn't have the resources that we have on this side of the state. Left Michigan, spent about 14 years of my career traveling this country, working in multiple states, visiting 47 of the 50 states. And I can honestly tell you, there's not too many places that have what we have here in Ottawa County as it relates to the parks and open spaces. As a business leader in the area, coming back into the state in 2003, moving into Ottawa County, I regularly used these park systems as an opportunity to attract talent to our area, to try to build teams of highly qualified people. The park system that we have here allows us to do that. It's an attractant to the area. It's somewhere people want to come and be a part of. And using that park system has been very helpful in trying to build that talent in this area. So I guess I would just say, I think you need to support that increase, put it on the bill, let the people decide whether or not that it has that value for them, and go from there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else present that would like to make public comment? Do we have anyone online? Okay. There will be a opportunity for public comment at the end of the meeting as well for anybody that would want to join in on that. Need a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the one item in the consent resolution is approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve? Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the action requests.
Would you like me to read the motions, Mr. Chair? Motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners an intergovernmental agreement with Holland Charter Township for administration of brownfield road development projects.
Patrick, do you want to kick that off? a
Yeah,
little bit?
sure.
Sorry.
Sure. Thank you. And Becky Hudding is here too to answer questions, but Holland Charter Township has its own Brownfield Redevelopment Authority right now. I think they've done 3 TIFs so far. They've all been traditional. It's going to be doing its first housing TIF, which is a little more complicated in terms of the administrative roles and responsibility. They've asked the county to come in and help them above and beyond what the county normally provides for support at a 5% service fee. So Becky and her team would help Holland Charter Township through that housing TIF, and there'd be a cost.
Great. Becky, anything to add to that? Okay. Discussion?
So this is just, we're providing just services above what we normally do.
Administrative services, the processing and all of the things that go along with the reporting on the housing TIF. And Becky, do you want to jump in on that? Those are the higher level questions.
Yeah, that was pretty much a good summary. So like Patrick said, we're providing beyond what we ordinarily provide for support for local unit BRAs where, I just help them get established and figure out the processes and give them some tools they can use. This will be actual hands-on administration. So for example, I'll meet with the developers, do that pre-application meeting, attend all the meetings, make sure the statutory requirements are being met, all the things that are a little bit beyond what I would do with a local BRA otherwise. When the receipts come in, reconciling the receipts, making sure that everything matches up, doing the MEDC reporting, things that we do for our county level BRA. And I do that as a part of my job, but it's a little above and beyond. So we created this agreement, and then that administration fee that the Holland Township BRA will collect will come back to the county to offset our time doing that. So we just decided it was a good use of our services to support them in that way.
And you're supportive of this?
Yes, yep, yeah, I think it works well.
Is that 5%, 5% of the value of the TIF?
Yep, 5% of the capture. So yeah, when that comes in, that 5% comes off, and then the rest gets just dispersed to the appropriate parties. Mhm.
Any other discussion? Do we need to do a roll call on this?
Yes, there's money. I believe there's the 5% probably.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Teeples?
Yes.
Mr. Kyers?
Yes.
Mr. Bonema?
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel? Mr. Georgezma?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Next, is Agricultural Conservation Easement Program.
I will make a motion to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program Agreement between Ottawa County and the United States Department of Agriculture.
So moved.
Support.
Yeah,
Patrick?
sure. I'll kick it off again. And again, this would be Becky. This is the Farm Bill is the primary funding source for our ag preservation program. So this would be a 5-year renewal of that agreement. And the funding is really based on allocated on property by property basis. So as we have new requests for projects that come into the program, then we receive the funding through the Farm Bill. So this is just a governmental agreement with the USDA and the county to allow that funding to flow.
Any discussion? I think we can do this. We don't need a roll call vote on this, I don't believe. So, okay. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed. Moving on to the purchase of development rights scoring criteria.
Motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the 2026 purchase of development rights scoring.
Patrick, can you?
Yeah, this is a request by the Department of Strategic Impact. It's really to amend the scoring criteria by which they determine eligibility. There's no material changes here. The only thing that's changes is they're updating the population density numbers, which have changed with growth. And they're adding 2 participating townships, but I don't know what those townships are. Maybe Paul could answer that.
Yes, we had Port Sheldon and Georgetown opt in this year,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, which is great. Yeah, and no other substantive changes. We did a deep dive, as most of you know, a year or two ago in 2024. So there wasn't a lot of changes needed, but we are required by ordinance to review and bring to the commissioners every year our scoring criteria.
Did those townships have projects in mind? Is that why they're asking to come in?
Georgetown, their leadership is very excited about being able to offer this to their landowners now. There are a few projects they're seeing that would be great ones to come forward. We don't have those applications yet because it's all voluntary and you just, get the word out. Port Sheldon, I don't think they have any specific projects in mind. We haven't seen applications from them yet, but they wanted to just give their landowners the opportunity to opt in, because that's the big thing about opting in is it just gives their landowners a chance. The township gets to sign off on every property. So it just gives everyone a chance to apply. So we appreciate that.
Does that help for points if you have the more townships you have? Does that help for? No.
Nope. What is nice with the state funding this year is they we're a county level program, but they're allowing us to, if your applications to the state are in different townships, those are both eligible for funding. So we could get 2 projects funded from the state this year, potentially, because they changed that rule. So that's nice. So it helps us in that way, but it doesn't change scoring.
Thanks.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good, thanks. Public Health Plan of Organization.
Motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the Ottawa County Department of Public Health Local Plan of Organization for Cycle 9.
So moved.
And I
Support.
see Eddie
Renee?
coming forward.
Hi. In the packet, I'm here to just kind of walk you through our plan of organization for this cycle of accreditation. So we're scheduled to have our accreditation review in May of 2026. What you'll see in there as well is kind of an overview. It's toward the end, the comparison of the changes that from 2023 plan of organization and the 2026. And then there's also the checklist kind of gives you the overview of the different sections of the plan of organization. But I'll walk you through just the document in general. So before we get started, just so we're all on the same page of what this document is, it's required under the Michigan Public Health Code. And then we have to submit it to MDHHS as part of our accreditation. And that happens on a 3-year cycle. And then the accreditation process is retrospective, meaning the state reviewers are looking back at to how we operated, how we were organized, what services we delivered, and how we met our legal obligations over the past 3 years since the 2023 review. So it's not a policy proposal, but a factual account of how the department is structured and functioning. Think of it more of an audit. The state is verifying that we're meeting the requirements of the public health code and our contractual obligations for the funding that they give us. The programs and services described in this plan are ones that were already approved through prior budget cycles, mandated through state law, or are required agreements through our agreements with MDHHS, EGLE, and MDARD. So walking you through, that document kind of highlights some of the key changes, a side-by-side summary of the differences between cycle 8 and cycle 9 plans. And then there's also attachment A, which is the signed approval form. Attachment B is our current organizational chart. And attachment C is the checklist confirming that all elements have been submitted. And those are all required attachments by the state. So the main sections, the legal authority and government or governance. The foundation of our plan remains the statutory authority under the Michigan Public Health Code. The state actually provides that matrix and the laws that are listed there. So our appropriations, one of the updates is the appropriations reference is updated to the 2025 state appropriations. And one update worth noting on the governance side, our committee, the new committee reporting structure. So previously in 2023, Health and Human Services Committee was listed, but now we report through Planning and Policy, and the Board of Commissioners continues to serve as the governing entity. We also updated our legal counsel reference, and Corporation Counsel is named as legal representative, replacing Coleman Legal that was listed in 2023. So for budget and staffing, the county has transitioned from a static PDF budget to an interactive online platform. So that's listed there rather than the kind of paper charts that we put in previously. Our fiscal year 2026 staffing notes, we're now at 109.67 FTEs across public health. In 2023, we reported 122.76, but that included 19 positions dedicated to COVID-19 response, most of which were vacant in the 2023 at the time of the plan, and have since been deactivated. So in practical terms, our current workforce is stable and FTEs reflect our current programs and operations. And then the full staffing structures in attachment B. Our strategic planning approach has evolved as well. In 2023, we were working under the 2020 to 2023 strategic plan, And we're examining some different performance management frameworks. Since that 2023 plan of organization, we completed a one-year strategic plan for 2025, just to realign our strategic planning cycle with the accreditation cycle. So we're currently working on rolling out a 2026 to 2028 strategic plan, and then going forward, we'll be on the consistent three-year cycle aligned with accreditation. I did provide a pretty comprehensive overview of our 2025 plan when I gave the annual report a few weeks back. To briefly recap, our priorities focused on three areas: strengthening internal team connection and collaboration, strengthening community connection and collaboration, and using data to tell a public health story. The third priority reflects an investment in improving our data systems, our workflows, and our ability to communicate with the public health work. We also worked with various hospitals and community partners to complete the 2023 Community Health Needs Assessment and develop the corresponding Community Health Improvement Plan. And then the communications and technology section, as that change comparison document details, we made some notable strides in communications. A few highlights since 2023: Instagram and LinkedIn were added to social media presence. Our Facebook page has approximately 6,500 followers, and LinkedIn has around 600. We worked with Scott in the county communications to do an Ottawa Out Loud podcast for food safety. And then he also helped create some new video content for some of our programs like hearing and vision screenings, food safety, and oral health. We also worked on migration to the updated website platform, and that occurred in 2024 mainly to streamline content and navigation. On technology side, we adopted Power BI for data visualization and performance management. That replaced the Turning Point and Malcolm Baldridge performance management that we were looking in the 2020 to 2023 cycle. We also added tools like Alchemer and Cognito Forms for data collection, and then Articulate for our e-learning modules. And then accessibility, we're working collaboratively with Shannon's group to work toward the full web content accessibility guidelines that are required to be in place by April. Community partnerships remain a cornerstone of our work. We continue to collaborate with Spoke, Healthy Ottawa, Suicide Prevention Coalition, and the Region 6 Healthcare Coalition, among others. A new addition that's in this report that was not in 2023 is the Food Safety Management Advisory Committee. I spoke about that at the annual report, bringing together restaurant owners and our food safety team to collaborate on food safety challenges. Leadership remains consistent. I serve as the health officer. Dr. Gwen Unsicker continues as the medical director, and then both the letters are required to stay on file for review by the state. So in summary, the plan just reflects the changes that have occurred in 2023 to 2026. We are maturing our strategic planning process, performance management practices, and expanding how we communicate and serve the community. The change comparison document, organizational chart, and approval form and the checklist are also all included for your reference. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Commissioner Teeples.
It is a lot. Until I became a commissioner, I never saw this plan of organization. And, but what a great piece of work. And I'm looking at, as I got through the whole thing and I finally get to the comparison table at page 85 of the materials of our packet stuff, it lays it out pretty good summary there of what it used to be like and what you've changed going forward, and including strategic planning, adding the committees and the committee on collaborations and stuff. I think it's great. I think it gives you a real good outline of what you need, where you need to focus. And I just commend you. Number one, having developed it at a certain point in time in the years past and keeping it in the forefront of what you guys do. So nice work.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bonema.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to reminisce for just a second with you because I haven't had a chance to really review the Department of Public Health's website in a little while. But with all the changes, I wanted to do that. So while you're
Did
giving
you
us,
see the online waiver?
I'm
was
telling you,
active? Okay.
I was going there. This is something we've been talking about and working on. So for the public's benefit, when it comes time to enroll your child, you are required to show education about immunizations that are required to bring your kid into the public school system. So this process streamlines that for families so that they can take care of all their kids. And sometimes, there's a bottleneck. We're all procrastinators. And so we'll wait till, the last second, and everybody does, and that makes a huge bottleneck for your staff. So this service being made available online to help families go through this education process and request a waiver if that's their decision, is now available in Ottawa County. So I wanted to first
Yes.
celebrate that and thank you for taking the lead on that, because it's not everywhere in Michigan, but it's here in Ottawa County. So we appreciate that. And then also just a calling back, originally when we started talking, and actually with your predecessor, we talked about how there's a lot of content on there that could be construed as activist in language and links to sites with information that we didn't control, and how that was a liability potentially to the county. And you definitely did an assessment, and I can see that those issues have been resolved. And now I think this is much more focused on the services that the county really provides to the people, and, supports maternal infant health. It just, the mom, supports the needs of the mom, supports the needs of the family, supports the needs of the community in a much better way. So I love the new format. I haven't gone through every page yet, but I was just taking a peek and just wanted to give you a hat tip for great work there.
Commissioner Wenzel.
Hi, Eddie. I have some questions about the YAS survey. Will there be questions of sexual nature for minors in that?
So the YAS survey wrapped up, it's done. There are sections, and the schools can opt in or opt out of having that like section. And then students can take it or not take it. The only required question to answer is the grade, mainly for statistical purposes. There's no requirement to answer anything. They don't show up unless you answer some things in the front end of suggesting that you are sexually active or you have had this, then you get like a different block of questions. But everything is voluntary. It can be nobody's forced to answer that. The YAS survey wrapped up. If you go to, let me think what the website is off the top of my head. I think the website is in the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, if you click on that, you can see because it wrapped up in fall. I just can't remember the date. But if you click on that website that's in the plan, and I'm sorry, I'm totally blanking on what it is right now. It's linked on our webpage too. Then you can see there's a list of all the questions, who participated, and then the report, the responses are kind of reported out as well. But if you go to that website, you'll get all of that information.
Is there, I know you mentioned opt out. Can parents opt in or opt out of this as well?
It depends on what the schools set, how they do it. The schools set that, but like kind of at the district level. And some do, I want to say,
Zealand does.
Zealand, I think, did opt in, right? Yeah,
So
okay.
you're not in it unless you opt in.
Yes, and some of the schools do opt out, and that will be on that website too. You should be able to see that.
But can parents, I guess?
Yes, that's what that is.
Okay.
So, yep. So the schools, districts decide how, if the parents opt into taking it or if the parents opt out to
Okay.
taking it, and that's set at the school.
Okay, and then do they, are parents notified prior?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what is the grades that's for?
8th, 10th, and 12th.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And it's not every year, it's every other year, isn't it? Something like
Yes,
that?
yep.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's every other year.
8, not 9, then
Right.
10,
Yep.
not 11, then 12.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, we've got a motion on to approve and forward to the full board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Next, sort of continuation from earlier meeting, I guess, but in-house legal services restructuring proposal.
The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the creation of a Director of Legal Affairs position to be posted immediately upon board approval.
Support and support.
Great.
So I won't rehash, but for the benefit of Commissioner Wenzel, who wasn't here, we had a lengthy discussion about the creation of a new position that would essentially serve the in-house day-to-day role of legal advisor, legal coordinator. It does not replace Corporation Counsel. Corporation Counsel is by statute a board-appointed position. And that position is really serving at the pleasure of the board in all matters of litigation and defense. And this is more boots on the ground, day-to-day coordination of everything that goes on, contract review, meetings with, residents or between departments, looking at anything that needs a legal opinion, which is quite lengthy, FOIA coordination, the things that happen in the legal office every day. It really separates the roles cleanly and makes for a much better environment by depoliticizing the position. And I'll just leave it at that. I think we had a pretty good discussion, and I look to the other board members to fill in if there's other questions.
Is Mr. Bulchey, he will not be here anymore at the county?
Correct. We would have this person sit in and serve as parliamentarian, answer legal questions and give advice. And they would also be at your disposal for any questions you might have as a commissioner, say, hey, what about this or that day to day? As a department head, they'd be able to answer those questions for you.
That was the other question I had, if we would have access.
Yeah, and I like this personally a lot because first of all, you're not being charged by the hour. You have somebody that's on staff that you can really work with. And then when Commissioner Zalstra and I went around to lots of different departments in the county, different areas of the county, they're requesting this type of access too, where they feel like there's for contract review, for all the little things that come along with making the county work, having somebody in this capacity is highly desirable throughout all of our staff and for us.
Yeah, I see some real advantages to having a county employee as our general counsel. Somebody that's here for the day-to-day, somebody that's actually part of the culture of the county government organization, the ability to develop relationships within the organization. I think it's a great repositioning. Any other questions, comments, Commissioner Teeples?
Yeah, I won't reiterate what we had a great discussion in the Finance Committee about this, so I won't reiterate my points. I just hope that we can get qualified candidates in that salary range that we've talked about. I think it's a great opportunity for an attorney to come in and play a pivotal role in helping the county. I really like the structure. We still keep our corporate counsel for the board as we need it. So yeah, I think it's great.
I think we need a roll call on this one.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Georgezma,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, next, Ottawa River Inter-County Drain Easements. Jordan, if you care to enter the motion.
Yes. The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the Macatawa River intercounty drain easements associated with Hawthorne Ponds, Pawpaw Park, Adams Street Landing, and to authorize the Parks Director to take such actions as are necessary to implement the intent of the board in this matter.
So moved.
Right, we've got a motion, and Jason is at the podium.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Take it away.
Thank you for your time. So we have, I think in all, it's about 7 or 8 different drain easements in 3 of our different parks. So we worked with Water Resources Department and their council and our council and came up with what I think is a a really good easement document that allows them access to the inter-county drains to do the maintenance and management of those, while allowing us the opportunity to maintain the parks and the infrastructure there. And then putting together a format for us to work together when those overlap. So happy to answer any questions.
Who's the easement with? I know it's with these local units, but within the county, is it?
So
water
we
res-
issue it to, so each inter-county, and this is, I'm not an expert on county drain systems, but each county drain has its own board that they form. And then there's a separate entity that then can assess. So the, these easements go from the county to that inter-county
So
drain.
Is that Joe Bush's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Water Resources.
Yes.
Water Resource.
And it'd be the Drain Commission in the neighboring counties.
Yeah.
that have it.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is, they need the easement to be able to clear clutter and just make
Mhm.
sure there's free flow of water and that sort of thing.
And they're working on, right, this project through the whole Macatoa Greenway. So, yep.
Any other questions? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next up, the item on Explorers Trail Bass River segment.
To approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the contract with Next Gen Construction in the amount of $1,036,825.20 for construction of Phase 1 of the Bass River segment of the Idema Explorers Trail, and to authorize the Parks Director to take all actions necessary to implement the intent of the board in this matter.
So moved.
Okay, Jason, what can you tell us?
So this is a really exciting segment. We've worked with State DNR on the route through Bass River. We have a management agreement. So Bass River split up into two segments. So the easterly segment is recreation under parks, and then the westerly segment of it, so I have that backwards. Westerly is parks. The easterly segment is under their wildlife. Yes.
Could you just refresh us of where this is located exactly, or what township?
So Robinson Township, and then I believe it runs through into Allendale
Okay,
also
thank you.
along the river. So
Trying to
ends
picture
it. So Riverside is at the end of North Cedar, and that's essentially this segment will run from the westerly end of Bass River, starting at Riverside, and then running into, you can see there's a map of it, into the park. So we have Bass River split up into several segments. We have another segment, the Allendale segment we'll talk about later, and then in the meeting today. And then we have another one that we'll be bringing forward, which is the Eastmanville Bayou segment. We'll bring that in upcoming weeks to you all. But this, we have a management agreement with DNR that allows us to build, construct, and to maintain this trail segment. And we work with fiscal services on bidding out the project. And I think all the bid tabs are in there. So this is a 2.9 mile segment. Overall, within Bass River, it'll be over 7 miles of trail. And we think this will be one of the most scenic segments just because it's, through the parks and off-road. So happy to answer any questions.
I believe this came in about $500,000 under estimate too, didn't it, Jason?
Yes, and we were really pleased to see that. We have a couple other ones that we're working on now, and just concerned with gas prices and how that will all impact some of them as they come in. But yeah, we adjust.
Great. Any other questions, commissioners? We ready to vote on this then?
Mr. Bonema,
Yes.
Mr. Georgezma,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Right. Moving along the trail to the Idema Explorers Allendale segment.
The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners an application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for funding assistance to construct the Allendale segment of the Grand River Greenway Idema Explorers Trail, to adopt the required resolution and to authorize the Parks Director to take such actions as are necessary to implement the intent of the board intent of the commission in this matter.
Support that motion.
Jason?
Thank you. So this is the Allendale segment that we talked about. So we always try to identify various grant opportunities to leverage our local funds as well as philanthropic dollars. So this specific project, we worked with the township. They identified the route. And this will come down 60th Avenue to Pierce and then head east on Pierce. So Regina, if you want to go ahead and click on the next. So again, the Item Explorers Trail is a 36.5-mile trail connecting Lake Michigan all the way to Kent County. Go ahead. And then this is a map I think is included or maybe was distributed to you all yesterday. So 2.8 section mile. We did a public meeting. We mailed all of adjacent property owners in the fall of last year. We hosted that at the township, had good response, and folks came out and asked questions. And we had our engineers there taking input and feedback. So the Parks Commission held a public hearing at the meeting last month, approved this grant. So this is a request for $400,000 to help support this. We also have a transportation alternative program grant in. This one in particular, we've collaborated with the township as well as MDOT. So this will facilitate a future intersection there at 60th Avenue and M45. So.
And that was the funding request we made to the state or will be making to the state?
Yep.
Yeah, $1
Yep.
million.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And it's MDOT, we've worked with them quite extensively. The township facilitated the traffic study, and it has been at least verbally approved to have this intersection here. So we're trying to coordinate both with MDOT and the township and entities on coordinating the construction at the same time of the intersection as well as the trail. So
Along M45 there, will that be like a pedestrian overpass, or are you just going to try to control the traffic for a crossing?
it'll be they'll actually build a new intersection to go north-south,
Oh.
throughway intersection. Right now it's a boulevard and you have to do a Michigan left.
Uh-huh.
So that's why we've been working with the township, probably close to a decade on this. They identified the plan and their parks plan and non-motorized plan. So they own quite a bit of property there on the southwest corner. So they see that as a future driver for like a town center for Allendale. They've also made a significant contribution commitment to help fund this segment of the trail. So pretty excited about it.
Great. Commissioner Teeples.
I think this is a pretty unique, when I traveled this route, I thought, wow, I mean, somebody's been doing a lot of creative thinking here to make this happen. And obviously you've been working with Allendale Township to get, all the approvals and stuff like that too, and the property owners. So I think it's amazing. And when you cross 60th on 45, I mean, I'm curious how that's going to look like, but this is a critical piece to the whole thing. So I wouldn't expect it to go the way you got it done. I wouldn't know what I would expect it, but I didn't expect that. And I think it's great. Obviously a lot of thought went into this.
Yep. And we think this will score well. Every year we kind of evaluate what projects we have on the horizon and then try to predict how they'll score and always try to leverage the funding we have to secure additional grant funds. This project's been extended multiple years. So every time you go over another year, the prices seem to go up. So it just helps us control those costs by securing these grants.
Commissioners, any other comments or questions?
No, I think this is really exciting for GVSU as well. I mean, it's an access to a whole nother part of our park system that there's a vibrant cycling community up there. There's a lot of outdoor enthusiasts. So this is great.
Yep. and it'll connect all those neighborhoods that are going in. So the segment to the north that you see, the Eastmanville Bayou segment, that's what we're working on. We have out for proposal right now for construction contracts. So that will be, we would hope to break ground on that this year. So, and then the other segment we just talked about is to the left or to the west. So we're kind of working our way along.
Good job.
This greenway is going all the way to Lowell.
Yes. So
Essentially,
King
so-
County's doing a lot of work. They have their amphitheater and
Incredible.
the
There's-
trail
I've read most
segment.
of it. It's beautiful.
There's no other trail segment in the state like this.
Yeah.
This is a huge undertaking. Yeah.
Well, and as we talk, and I know that the director from Bentonville came Arkansas and talked at the MAC, I think, and was hosted a few weeks ago. You know, there are a lot of great. San Antonio Riverwalk is another great example. There are these regional trail segments, but one of the things that, you know, and especially being from the state down south, you know, our natural
You
resources.
can say Texas.
He's talking about Ohio. I think you're talking about Ohio. aren't you?
Although
Oh, that one.
that state,
right. Yeah, I
But-
understand your tepidness now.
yes, yes.
That makes sense.
But our natural resources in the parks and the greenway are really what we will have a world-class facility when all this is created that's connected by this trail system. That's, you can't compare to even some of those others that, you know, a lot of us already know. So it's really exciting to see the work that Grand Rapids and Kent County are doing. You can, you know, pick up the trail in Georgetown, and when they open, I think the amphitheater opens in May. You can hop on the trail there at the Bend area and ride in and catch the show, and then avoid all the traffic. And yeah,
That
right
may
back.
be your best parking from that too.
Yeah.
Parking in Georgia.
You'll need it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I think we're ready to vote.
Mr. Teebles?
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel?
Yes.
Mr. Kyers?
Yes.
Mr. Bonema?
Yes.
Mr. Georgezma?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Rosie Mound expansion.
Make a motion to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the contract with MCSA Group in the amount of $78,475 for design and engineering services for Phase 1 improvements at the Rosie Mound expansion area, and to authorize the Parks Director to take all actions necessary to implement the intent of the board in this matter.
Support.
Yes, sir.
So this is, we acquired the 127 acres that expanded Rosie Mound in December of 24. And then I know a number of you joined us last year for the opening, the dedication. This, we had facilitated a master plan update that incorporated that 127 acres. And we have it split out in phases. So this is our first phase of that. And this would be for the final design, engineering, and construction documents that will allow us to break ground on that. Likely wouldn't be, if everything worked out how it's supposed to, we might be able to get the bids in by the end of this year. I kind of suspect it might be next spring before we actually break ground on those improvements. But yeah, it'll include a pathway loop, some additional parking, trailhead amenities. We'll have, although the site does call for a modern restroom, this will be a pit toilet. And then one of the exciting parts of this is you see that trail loop there. The loop that goes off to the left will be fully accessible, ADA accessible up to the top of the dune. And you'll be able to overlook that Rosie Mound and Lake Michigan view out to the west. So be pretty special.
This was one of the stops on the bus tour that we had this past summer with Parks and Recs folks. And at least for myself, it was really helpful to be able to see these properties like Rosie Mound and the Idema Explorers Trail segment in Allendale, to actually see that. Just really impressed with the vision and the work that's going into this. And I think this will be great. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Okay. I see a dollar sign on this one, so I know how we're going to vote.
Mr. Teeples?
Yes.
Mr. Kyers?
Yes.
Mr. Georgezma?
Yes.
Mr. Bonema?
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I have to excuse myself for a meeting.
Thank you. Tunnel Park renovations.
Make a motion to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners an application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for funding assistance on the Tunnel Park renovation project, to adopt the required resolution and to authorize the Parks Director to take all actions necessary to implement the intent of the commission in this matter.
Support of the motion.
Motion and support. Go ahead.
So last month, we had our public hearing for this meeting. This was one of the first parks that Ottawa County received and had a major renovation back in the early days, and now it's scheduled for another one. So we think it'll score well on the trust fund, and it'll include updating the pathways, parking areas, upgrades to the play equipment, the overlooks, as well as the restroom building. So that restroom building's 30 plus years old now. And Regina, if you want to click, I think there's a slide of the map. Here we go. So just all the various components that, and we'll do an assessment of the tunnel, right? And make sure it's up and will be good for another 30 years. So.
I would have to think this is one of the most heavily used county parks.
It is. And what's interesting, so Grand Ravines is our most heavily used county park. This one is up there and it goes back and forth with Kirk Park. For historically, it had been the most heavily used Lakeshore Park. But then when we opened the dog beach, and I'm not sure the timing of that, then Kirk Park took the lead. So it's right up there as one of the busiest. So yes, and then we actually, you can see on this map, we have a license with Holland BPW on some of that property to the north where we have our sand volleyball courts. And then they allow us to have overflow parking on the east side of Lakeshore there as well.
How do you track user levels?
So we have a subscription to Placer data that gives us, so we can tell where somebody's coming from as well. So we can, for a local jurisdiction, we can tell which parks they go to. So for example, Georgetown is the jurisdiction that visits our parks on a percentage on the highest. So yeah, this one has over 200,000, I think, average.
Pretty scary stuff, ain't it?
Commissioners, any questions? Right.
So the play structure is being redone. Are there going to be any new added elements, or is it just kind of a modernization?
We'll see. We'll get into really refining those specific renovations as we move forward. So this will be an application this year. We would actually get the notice if it's received December, and then it has to be approved by the legislature. And then once it's approved by the legislature, you have 2 years. So this could easily be a 27 or a 28 project.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mr. Georgezma?
Yes.
Mr. Teeples?
Yes.
Mr. Kyers?
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel?
Yes.
Mr. Barry? Motion passes.
Thank you. North Ottawa Dunes expansion.
Motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners a resolution authorizing submission of a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application for the North Ottawa Dunes Expansion Acquisition Project, expressing the county's intent to provide up to 50% local match, not to exceed $3,253,880, toward a total project cost of up to $6,507,760, and to authorize the Parks Director to take such actions as are necessary to implement the intent of the commission in this matter.
Support.
So you all have heard about this one before. We worked with the township and the property owner, and the property owner's committed to selling us 50 acres at a minimum. But he's open to discussions. He's working with an adjoining property owner, and he allowed us to apply for up to 90 acres. So he's committed to the 25% match of the first 50. And then we worked with the DNR staff on how to word this resolution to make sure if it's 60 or 70 acres that we can secure the highest amount of grant dollars towards that project. Anything above that, we would use the landowner donation and then use funding we would try to secure from philanthropic sources, from our foundation or from the parks millage. So it's a little big range there. The process that happens here is we apply in April, we get feedback from the trust fund. This technically piece of property, although it's some of the most beautiful dunes you'll see, it's outside of the critical dune map. So you get higher points depending on the local match. So the local contribution. So we'll get feedback sometime August, September of this year and can adjust our presentation for the grant application. So, and then the board, so it will be, the trust fund announces grants in December. And then again, it's up to the state legislature on when they appropriate those funds and authorize that funding. So whenever that grant agreement comes through, the board will have an opportunity again to look at that and approve that. And by that time, we're actually working on an option to purchase right now with the property owner, trying to work through some of the details, and would hope to have that in the next upcoming days, actually. So, and then the board will have an opportunity to review and approve that purchase agreement too. So this authorizes the resolution for the grant.
So the local match then will be coming from,
We'll either find it through philanthropic dollars or our parks millage.
There's also the contribution of the land count towards that. And,
Yep.
and I believe the 25% from the seller, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of a mixed bag of different sources. They're getting you to that 38 million.
okay.
That's what we talked about previously when we discussed this.
Yep. Commissioner Teeples.
Jason, I'm wondering, I mean, this is the third issue that we're asking the state to consider us for that application or through that trust fund. How likely will it be that they're going to approve all the requests that were coming through for them? And then what happens if they don't approve it? I mean, how do we get Tunnel Park fixed and how do we get the segments done if they don't approve it? What's the plan there? So my question is twofold.
So the trust fund has, so the fund is funded by oil and gas revenues. And actually, this is the 50th anniversary of the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. And we've received 44 projects totaling more than $26 million in Ottawa County, Ottawa County Parks alone. I sat on a panel representing various stakeholders from around the state last week on that at the MParks conference. So they have acquisition grants and then they have development grants. So two different kind of grant processes, and they're all competitively scored. So we try to predict what the score is and then try to adjust. So some of us saying up to 50% match on this one gives us some flexibility to provide more match if we needed to get that score up. So and then, as we always do with grants and funding, so the Item Explorers Trail, for example, when I got here, we had transportation alternative programs planned into that project. So that project started in 17, and then we've had to adjust, along the way as various things have changed. The transportation alternative project didn't want to, if you were building through an area that would be funding, they wouldn't approve it. That was a change from when they started. So we had to go back to our funding plan and rework that. And so, the, if, so with Tunnel Park, that's a match. What we would do is try to look at our long-range capital project and find where that other $400,000 would come from to make those renovations. The item Explorers Trail, Allendale segment. So this, we're trying to identify projects as we move forward with the various segments that would score well for grants that will help us close what we know we'll have funding to make up at the end. So we have funding allocated for the various segments, but at some point in time, we're going to have to close that gap. And that's part of why, right, we're trying to ask the state for some funding assistance. That also includes that intersection. So, yeah, I don't.
But is every grant then stand in its own merit, or
Yes.
could they penalize Ottawa County for asking for too much?
So they'll come to us, and if it's a particularly competitive year, they're always and it also they take the last day in September is when they take the read of how that fund does economically. And so some years you've got good years on January 30th, and other years it's not. And then it determines how much funding that they'll allocate. Sometimes they'll fund the smaller ones, and so we've been asked before to prioritize ours. The acquisitions are a little bit different. We try to predict and make sure we're in the top quarter, but also it also depends on if there are projects above that score higher than ours, they could be much larger. So we've been asked before in the past to split acquisition projects up into two grant cycles. So Ottawa Sands, and then Rosemount that we closed on in December of 24. And luckily we had a property owner with Rosemount who was willing to allow us to do that. With Ottawa Sands, we had to work with a local, the Land Conservancy of West Michigan. They actually got a loan and acquired the second half and they held it for a year that allowed us to secure the second grant. So, a lot of times with some of these bigger acquisition projects, it's more complex. And so this is the first step. We think it'll score well, but it's not inside the critical dunes. So, yeah. Hopefully I answered your question.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The first two grants are development grants, the third one's an acquisition
it.
grant,
Yep.
so they're looked at separately.
I see that.
And the acquisition, I think, doesn't have a cap, correct? Or
Correct.
it used to not have a cap. I don't know.
Correct. It doesn't, well, they have however much they're going to allocate a year. And it all depends on what the other projects really are in. This one won't be at the top. Some of them, Rosemount and Ottawa Sands, both were kind of scored as a 1 or 2. So, yeah.
Any other questions? I think we're ready to vote.
Mr. Georgezma,
Yes.
Mr. Kyers,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel, Mr. Teeples,
Yes.
Mr. Barry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving to discussion items, and Brett Laughlin with the Ottawa County Road Commission.
All right. Ideally. Well, good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to come in and provide you an update on our winter maintenance operations. I know most of you here, but for the members of the public, I'm Brett Laughlin, Managing Director. And I also brought with me Ken Hildebrandt. He's our Operations Superintendent who oversees all of our maintenance operations. So this is just a PowerPoint presentation, but if you have questions, well, please stop us and we'd be happy to answer anything that you may have. So the first thing we want to talk about is all the miles that we maintain throughout the county. So county roads, we maintain 1,720 miles. We also do the state highway system, which is another 220 miles on top of that. If you want to just give a little perspective of that, from Ottawa County, this complex to go all the way to Key West, Florida, is 1,600 miles. And then to go from the same complex all the way to Anchorage, Alaska is, well, 3,700 miles. So when I said we have 1,720 miles, that's centerline miles. If you unfold all that with lane miles, we exceed going from here to Anchorage, Alaska. So we have a lot of road to maintain, especially when you have a winter event. The color coding is significant because the way our funding comes in, we do not get any property taxes to do winter maintenance. All of our winter maintenance funds comes from a gas tax and registration fees. And 70% of that funding goes towards primary roads, and 30% of that goes towards the green roads, which are all labeled the same. Those are local roads. But you can see that's a little bit of disparity because about 30% of the system is primary and 70% of the system is local. But that's just how our funding mechanism comes in from the state of Michigan. So to help manage and plow our system, we've established priorities, and I'll let maybe Ken highlight that a little more.
So we prioritize with the state trunk lines and go to our locals and primaries and then subdivisions. And typically we get quite a few complaints in the subdivisions. Why don't you have my subdivision plowed? Particularly this winter. It was a long winter. What happened this winter? Usually we get a little reprieve in between the storm events and it allows us to get caught up. It didn't really happen this winter. So we're focused in on state trunk lines, primary, local. And then what happens is the cars will drive over that snow. It gets hard packed. And then with the frigid temperatures we had this year, 5 degrees, below zero at night, that will turn to ice. So by the time we deal with a storm event on the primaries and locals of the state trunk lines, we got to figure out a way to peel that ice off the road. And that's usually just a patience thing and the right weather events. Then there's questions of why don't we salt all the subdivisions? I allocated 20,000 tons for Ottawa County this year of salt. If we were going to salt all the subdivisions, I would have to double it. We'd be probably 40,000 tons. Plus you'd have a negative impact on the environment with that. And you would get complaints from homeowners because the sand would be getting in their yard. And it would domino effect into catch basins. All the catch basins would get full. I've got a bid out right now for catch basins. It's due Friday. I'm hoping they come at 100, 150 a catch basin. So when you start adding all those basins up to get those clean, it increases significantly. So a lot of the questions from the public is why don't we salt subdivisions? That's one of the reasons. Plus it's a low volume traffic area and it's, slower speeds. Oh, so this is plow routes. This is kind of cool. We rolled this out. Kind of correlates with environmental impact and efficiencies within the road commission. All the drivers received tablets last May. There's a layer in our Samsara GPS program. All the plow routes are on there. They're all labeled. This creates efficiencies because if there's a driver from Coopersville that has never been plowing in Hudsonville, he can pull that up and he can look at that map and he knows exactly where to go. Or if we have a driver that finishes route early, he can see the trip history from the other driver and he can jump right in there and take off where he left off. There's a lot of other things that we're looking at for the technology to increase efficiencies as well.
So here's just some general plowing costs. So a plow truck, to buy one, costs $350,000, but to put it on the road with depreciation, insurance and repairs all onto that, that's about $135 an hour. Fuel is about $30 an hour to add to that. And then labor and fringe is about $70 an hour. So that's your hourly cost just to go out there and plow. Then if we start adding material, it can be up to $400 an hour. And that depends on the application rate and if it's pure salt.
How do you calculate a cost like fuel or material cost by the hour? How do you do that comparison?
It's just tons. It's an application rate of amount of material being laid down. So we know the unit weight and cost per ton. So if you're going down driving at 25 miles an hour applying the material. That's how you calculate it
How
out
much
per hour.
material gets put down over a length of period of time?
Correct.
In distance, I get it, okay.
Good question. So I was going to touch on that. So that's part of the efficiencies that we're trying to increase on. So this Samsara GPS program that we have, we're trying to, so 2004, they came out with a salt management plan for Ottawa County. You look at that and you're like, okay, '04 it came out. We're in 26 now. They've got a lot of new technology available. So what we've done is we put sensors on the belts that allows us to look at Samsara and see when the sand salt is being applied. We started adding application rates. That's your question. So like we calibrate the trucks. A common practice that we started doing every fall is to calibrate the truck. So they've got what they call a Rex Raw system. And it's got a knob on it. And like number 1 is 100 pounds per lane mile. Number 2 is 200 pounds per lane mile, so on and so forth. Well, with the technology, we can see what the driver's putting down. Now, it's not really a gotcha thing. It's more of a training purpose. So because every storm is different, right? So you get a new driver in there or seasonal driver, and they may not know that you don't need to apply 400 pounds per lane mile because it's 25 degrees in the morning. The sun's going to come up at 8:30, 9 o'clock. The temperature is going to go up to 35. There's just no reason to put that much salt down. You're going to achieve the same results with 200 pounds per lane mile. So that data is available for us. Hopefully, we'll have all that rolled out by next fall throughout the summer and utilize that for training purposes and again, increase efficiencies. That more salt is not always the cure for slippery roads. That one on the right there, that's a good example. That's a general guideline that we use. I think the perception is that we just go out and we blade and we throw salt down and the roads are clear. It doesn't work that way. There's a whole lot more to it than that. You've got wind, you've got temperature fluctuation, and there's a lot of collaboration that occurs between the district supervisors and adjacent counties, a lot. So, you know, we'll get a storm event and 3 or 4 in the morning, we'll be shooting texts back and forth saying, hey, did you guys shoot? Did you treat the road? No, we're holding off. We don't want to get the checkerboard effect where you get in one area and this is good and this is bad. Or it just doesn't warrant putting salt down because it's going to be ineffective. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't realize that occurs. And it's in 28 years I've been doing maintenance in various capacities. I was at MDOT. I came over to the county. And I think it should be noted that the West Michigan area, the county road commissions, they are really, really good. I mean, we collaborate all the time. If they call, I'll help them and vice versa. It's just been that way for a long time. It's a really good area.
So Ken kind of touched on this. Obviously, we have a salt management plan and priorities, and that really precipitated in 2004 from some lawsuits from Blueberry, environmental concerns. So there was a salt commission. I think the county took the lead on helping facilitate all that, where we had the road commission, MDOT, the health department, and other entities come together and see what we can do to, you know, try to provide a safe environment for motorists, but also mitigate concerns about crops and other environmental things. So that was established. We have the whole plan on our website. Most of this information is on our website, by the way, as well. And that's how we've established our priorities and application rates. You may see those blue signs every once in a while going down the road on some of our roads. Farmers have established some of that areas through a criteria that actually goes through Paul Sachs's department, help us guide that, make sure that we're just picking the right area that's based on acreage for those types of farms. You got anything else on that? Or? So yes, this was a very challenging winter for us, in particular the end of December and January. At one point in time, bulk of our workforce worked 28 days in a row. So, you know, most workers, they get weekends off and to see their families. They probably don't work that much overtime, but our dedicated guys were out there, you know, trying to provide a safe environment for everybody. So you see our budgets, the primary roads I talked about, and local roads are two set categories that we have to classify separately for auditing purposes. That's about $3 million that we have as a budget. We've had that same budget for historically for years. Some years we're under, some years are over. This year we're right now way over, and we're not done with winter yet. There's probably still some more winter to come. Yeah. Yeah, he's saying yes, we are.
Don't say that.
Right. We still have some stuff to go in there because cleanup and all that kind of gets allocated to that. So, right now, I think we're about $1 million over on our side of the budget. We do get reimbursed from the state for doing the state maintenance contract. But overall, we're $1 million over right now.
Question for you. After winter's done, do you do kind of a review and see if there were any areas that had higher than usual traffic incidents, and then kind of change the salt allocation plan? I mean, that might take some coordination with MDOT or the sheriff's department, but I'm just wondering what your postmortem process is.
Most related incidents are at intersections, so we'd have to take a look and look at the crash reports to see if it was either weather related or just careless driving, that they're not paying attention for the conditions as well. So we do keep an eye on that, but again, it might be hard to salt a 12-mile stretch of a primary road, the whole
I'm just
area.
wondering if you have a formal process for doing that.
Our traffic guy gives us the reports. We see all the accidents and we can tabulate all that. So we just have to differentiate what's from weather and what's from other areas. Obviously, if there's a concentration, we'll dig into the driver a little more. But usually our primary roads, you're going to see more accidents because there's more vehicles out there.
Sure.
From a maintenance standpoint, I look at, for example, if we got additional schools that are built over time, development, and if it's increased traffic volume, if it warrants it, we might treat that a little differently. Not treat it differently, but maybe instead of a local road, treat it more like a primary road. There are areas that we look at as far as increased traffic volume, especially around schools and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So right now we're over allocation on salt, and then right now it's about 1.4 million we spent on salt. And this is the good one, overtime. We're already 13,000 hours of overtime for our workers, and that's all winter. And that's 625,000 of that total. So with winter comes also other challenges, which, for the residents, obviously mailboxes. Most times when a mailbox gets knocked down, it's not from physically our plow driver swerving over and knocking it down on purpose. It's more of the force of the snow, especially this year when you had, ice and deep banks to get through. So several years ago, we just developed a policy. Instead of trying to go out and review to see if our driver actually hit the mailbox or not, we just pick up the phone, call, or come to one of our 4 locations. You can get a free mailbox, a free post, no questions asked. We're not going to go out and review it. If your mailbox got knocked down, you can come pick up a free standard mailbox and free post. So we did just to make it a little more efficient, so we don't have somebody sitting there all day in some of these garages. We do have hours on there. And if they can call and make an appointment, that'd be very, very helpful.
Yeah, we do get mailbox complaints, and the next slide is lawn damage. So what I do is the mailbox complaints come in, you get lawn damage complaints. I look at it in perspective, percentage wise. So how many thousands of mailboxes are these guys driving by every day? How many mailboxes are we actually handing out? It's a very, very small amount. Same thing with lawn damage. You're going to get lawn damage. It's going to happen. We've got a foot or 2 of snow on the shoulder, and these guys are driving in some of the worst conditions that you can be in, and it's going to happen. So people get frustrated with it. I understand, but you look at how many miles those guys plow and what little damage is actually done on lawns. It's very, very small. So, but being in the government agency, you're going to hear more of the complaints than you will the positives, and that's just the boat we're in. So.
Yep, so all the calls for lawn damage, they get logged all winter long, and then sometime in the spring, usually April and maybe even to May, we'll go out and put down new topsoil and seed in those areas that were damaged. So we encourage the public to call and let us know those areas, because if we don't know about it, we may not get out there to see that there was a problem. And with winter maintenance, this is kind of ties into that a little bit, especially this winter, and I'll let Ken get a little further about our gravel road grading program.
So we've been doing, having a lot of conversations with adjacent counties. We met with Allendale Township. There's some concerns on the gravel roads and the maintenance of them. What we had again this year, we really didn't get a reprieve. We got 2 thaws, so to speak. We've had those sub-zero temperatures, and what happens is that frost gets in the ground. And once we get a little thaw, only the top portion of that gravel road is good. There's no drainage. So there's nearly not a whole lot we can do with them. If we go through and grade something like this, it's going to turn into muck. I know personally, because not in Ottawa, I live in Muskegon, because they did that one time. I live on a gravel road and it was impassable. They just made the wrong call, and that happens. But that's where we're at right now. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the information out to the public as best we can. And we collaborated with Kent County Road Commission. We did a little video. We put it on our website. They put it on their website. And I guess there's a podcast in this complex someplace. I'm supposed to be doing that sometime. And then there's another radio show in Grand Haven there that we're going to get on that one. And we're collaborating with Skegan, my friend Drew over there, same position. Just to get the word out to the public, to help them try to understand, educate them a little bit as to why their road looks the way it does. And the good news is the frost is getting out of the roads a lot quicker than what we anticipated. So hopefully, if you live on a gravel road, that's good news for you.
Yeah, this week though, it doesn't look the greatest with the weather, that rain coming in, but all we need now is the frost to get completely out and get them dried up a little bit, and then we can get them in and grade them and kind of shape them up. And I think I highlighted on almost all of our winter maintenance operations. Again, thank you for the opportunity to come in, but yes, any questions?
I have a question. I got to experience one of those dirt roads on 60th.
Mhm.
It was like a minefield, like you could lose a tire in it. And the holes were not even a foot apart from each other, and it was the entire road. So there's nothing that the gentleman that I asked that was on, he said there's been car damage and everything just because it's so bad. So is there nothing that can be done?
The only thing we can do is just wait for the right conditions. So you have to wait for some of that moisture to get out of the road, and we'll go through and we'll do a light grading to take the edge off, to try to get some of those potholes out of there. But if we dig in and try to grade it appropriately, it'll become impassable. That's what happens. And that's hard for people to understand, but that's just the nature of the beast of living on a gravel road. It's just part of it, and I built on a gravel road by my own choice 25 years ago. And I kind of watched as the houses came in. And then the irony is they build on a gravel road, and then all of a sudden they're complaining about the gravel road, the dust, the potholes, the dirt. And it's like, you chose to build on a gravel road. You chose to live on it. This is all part of it. So we do the best we can. I think the perception is that we're not proactive and that we don't care and the taxpayers isn't get their dollars worth. That's not true. We have to strategically do those roads at the right time, just like winter, doing the right salt application. Otherwise, you've got a bigger mess. So spring will pass. It'll be okay.
Any other comments? Well, we had a winter like we haven't had around here in quite a long time. And I know some, people get frustrated. I've got a few phone calls from folks, why aren't they plowing my street? But I just want you to know, we appreciate what you guys did this winter. The number of overtime hours speaks volumes, I think. And appreciate what you do, keeping the roads safe for folks. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you for coming in and sharing that with us.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Now, discussion item, we talked about this just in our board meeting a couple of weeks ago, but ratified contracts and how we want to handle that going forward. And
Yeah,
we've been doing some work on that.
yeah, thank you. I just want to introduce a conversation today and we can, we don't need to make a decision or anything, but I just thought we'd introduce conversation, then it can go where you want to take it. But out of the strategic planning session, we talked a lot about, improving board communications, improving board staff, communications and expectations. And one of the highlights that I took away from that is the board would like to have more opportunity to discuss things, especially controversial things ahead of the time that they need to take a vote. And the pattern that we've seen is there seems to be a lot of recurring themes with items that are on the ratification list that are really intended just to go through. So as you know, basically the default is every contract requires board pre-approval unless there's an exception under the contracting policy that allows it to be done through ratification. So there's a list of those exceptions. One of those is under 70,000. There's a dollar amount attached to it. But despite that, there's still opportunities that come up where there's questions and concerns. So we thought we'd at least have a discussion about, do we need to look at changing how we do things? And so there's two ideas that I wanted to pitch. One would be making the ratification list, everything that's on the ratification list for approval at the board meeting, a standing item on either this committee or the finance committee, because it really could go either way, because a lot of those are financial in nature. So that's one option. We're not doing that right now. That would allow either committee to have an opportunity to ask questions, to look at the items that are going to be coming forth on the ratification list, and hopefully avert some of those last minute things that pop up when the board's supposed to, approve that. The other option is amending the contract policy to add some more clarifying language on which items specifically the board has concerns with, so that staff has clear direction on, we know this one might raise some questions and either require additional conversation, or it doesn't get to go through ratification process. It needs to be done as part of the pre-approval process. And there is a section right now in the policy, and I'll just read it. It's contracts that involve politically sensitive subjects. And this was something I wasn't even aware was in here, but it is in the current contracting policy. All contracts that involve politically sensitive subjects, such as any contract involving a socio-political point of view, involving gender, gender identity, race, sexual activity or orientation, religious affiliation, or similar issues. So that is currently in the contracting policy that says these are not under the exception of ratification. These need to come before the board for pre-approval. Even that, to me, is a little vague, right? So it's subjective in nature. So I'm just throwing out two different options. Do we want to look at amending or tightening up the language and where those guardrails are for staff to know? Or would it be better just to say, let's just have ratification items as a standing discussion item on either the planning and policy or finance committee agendas?
I think there's merit to any of those. In light of that language that's in there, which I also didn't know was in there. I think one of the ways we could handle this, and this might not be helpful for you, so I apologize in advance for suggesting this, is I don't know how the process works currently, if you have to sign off on all of these, or at least you get a list, but if we had staff kind of review, because to be honest, Commissioner Teeples has expressed this too, we don't need to micromanage. But if there is something where you can see, yeah, there at least might be questions, I don't think any of us have a problem with just saying, oh, thanks for pulling this, we're good, and then voting to approve it. But in the case, with some of these where, hey, I know this might have questions or be controversial, there's a way for you or the board chair to pull them in advance.
There is, and I try to do that. And case in point, I think last month we had the MELF agreement that came before you. So that was one. So all the ratification items do come across my desk through OnBase, and I review each one. And if there's a question about any of them, I can call the department head and ask. But it's just very difficult to anticipate where those points are that you guys might have concerns. So I'm either trying to really clarify so that we don't have to have these one-off discussions, or just provide another opportunity to discuss it at the committee level, so that we know going into the board that there's been an opportunity for the board to raise those concerns. I'm fine with either. It's just if we keep the status quo, I think we need to have more clarifying language from you. Again, as we discussed in the strategic plan retreat, is to avoid the surprises that come up in the board meetings.
I'm kind of good with if they want to pull items off the consent, and if they, like we talked at kind of at the work session, that you would do it in at least, 3-4 days in advance. So we know what you want, explain why you want it. And then it can be before the, whatever department, has heads up on that. Because I see sometimes that it's going to be a moving target. So I think that part would be a really good part that we would say, hey, if you don't have nothing, then you wait till the next time. So at least everybody has a heads up on it, not only for the departments, but all for all the commissioners and the constituents of both.
So you're thinking that you're thinking the commissioners have to give notice so many days before the meeting, otherwise they can't say anything about it?
Correct.
How would they do that if we don't get the list until like the Friday when the agenda goes out?
It's quite a long time.
I'm just curious. I mean, so if the agenda goes out on a Friday and it has the ratification list there, at what point would you say there's a cutoff and the commissioner can't raise the issue at the board meeting on Tuesday?
48 hours before the board meeting.
48 hours. So that would be Sunday, right?
Sunday 9.
Yeah, it's kind of short.
I
just
think
something that, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
I think
I hear what you're
the
saying.
idea, if we do them at the committee level, and then that gives them plenty of time to, to give advance notice, right? If we're seeing them 2 weeks beforehand, then I think, yeah, there's complete merit to say, hey, if you're going to ask questions at the full board meeting, you have to do it by, let the chair or the administrator know by that Friday before the meeting. I think that makes sense if it's at the committee level.
If we bring it to the committee first, that gives 2 weeks.
Right.
And then if you don't bring it up, say by the Friday when the agenda goes out.
Well, by that point, we could just include it on the agenda as a separate item also. I mean,
I get it.
Right, we pull it off for ratification.
right.
It would be on the agenda then
Mhm.
as an issue.
I do also think, I don't know if it was you, Kendra, or if it was who it was, but I do think there's merit to adding an exception to the ratification for a contract that would involve services for minors. Not to say we won't ever ratify contracts for services for minors. I think probably a lot of them we will, but I do think that's something where, hey, give it another look. It is affecting kids, so that might help a lot. I feel like a lot of the objections recently have been about contracts with things that are involving minors.
So those would just be added to the pre-approval list then. They wouldn't be ratification regardless of the amount or anything. It'd be
Right.
really this section that I just read, you'd amend that to include that.
That's my thought. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a good signal to people
I
too.
mean, we want to be open and transparent and have that, but we're trying to also avoid those surprises at the board meeting. So the more we can understand what the questions are, the longer, and you guys need time to ask those questions. We get that. So putting it on as a discussion item or a standing item on the committees makes sense to me, with the understanding that the hope is then things kind of go through the board level pretty quickly, because there's opportunities to ask questions and we're here to answer those questions for you in between.
I support this effort 100%. I think we can craft that list of topics or issues that are sensitive to potentially sensitive to some of the board folks, and head that off early to do discussion on ratification of every contract, I think would be burdensome for sure. So I think if we can, yeah, if we, I'm kind of liking that, if we work it out in committee and then we've got some time that people can research that and by Friday, before the full board meets, it either goes on the agenda or else we're going to be able to just pass it.
To me, it makes more sense on this committee, planning and policy, than finance, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it makes more sense on finance.
Do you?
But it's gonna be, to do this, it's gonna be incumbent upon the members that are not on the committee that's gonna review this to be looking and knowing in advance every month
Yes.
that we're gonna there's gonna be a list of ratification contracts. They gotta look at that. They gotta anticipate.
Well, we could also just send that list to every commissioner.
Well, it'll go out in the packet. It would go out in the board packet or the committee
Sure,
packet. So
sure,
they would,
But for
You
what
know, just
meeting
to
though?
make sure. they
either
have
the
it.
finance committee or so
Yeah, but you don't send this packet to the committee members, the commissioners that are not on the committee. Say that again, Virginia? Yeah. So you would, okay, so yeah, that's my point. So,
Everybody has it.
so the commissioners that are not on the committee are gonna have to anticipate every month, looking at that list, ratification of contracts list. Because then it's up to them within a certain period of time before the board agenda goes out to either complain or forever hold your peace. That's it.
well, I like ask questions better than complain.
Okay. Better.
Can't reword that?
I like the second part, forever hold your peace too. So, okay.
Either way, it's our responsibility to look at them no matter where it's at. I mean, just because I sit in the parks store doesn't mean you shouldn't look at the parks package. Not that you always do, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we do as elected officials, whether we like it or not, so.
All right.
I think that it satisfies.
So
the-
it's two-part, introducing it on the committee, in finance committee.
Why not? What difference does it make what committee or why does it have to be just one committee?
I don't know if we need to discuss the same thing in both committees.
Yeah, it don't need to be on both, but it deals with money. Right? These all contracts deal with, whether it's 4,500 or 70,000.
I'm trying to think.
We'll
if
let
it-
Jim and Jacob fight it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Jacob's not here, so,
And then for this is an amendment to the contracting policy to address, which, by the way, if the corporation council restructuring goes through, this needs to be updated because it makes a lot of reference to corporation council. So this needs to be updated anyway, but
Through here or?
yeah, it'll come back to the board through the internal review committee, so.
any thought to revising the dollar amount on the ratification requirement?
We haven't talked about that, no.
I mean, I'm not sure how they
What is it? in
reached
Kent County?
70,000.
70, isn't it?
I don't know what it's 70 here. I'm not, do you know what it is in Kent, Regina?
That'd be good to know what other counties are doing as far as dollar wise. That should be pretty easy, right?
I bet Mac probably can find that for us.
Sure. I'll work on that.
So I like Jordan's ideas, both of them, both add the child protection language to this, to the policy. And the idea of bringing it to the committee, and then commissioners have until, I would say, Thursday before the board package goes out, so that you know that you need to make sure it gets on the agenda for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea, because I think it satisfies the primary objectives that we're trying to achieve.
Okay. Do you want us to bring this back to the full board for a discussion as a follow-up to bring them in the loop?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
But we have three other commissioners in this room today that are sitting in the audience, so.
Yeah.
This is good. Everybody's, all the thumbs up are in the back, so it looks like, good.
All right, thank you.
Right. That's good conversation. Dr. Brashears had another appointment, had a hard pass on that, so we may not have him.
He is
today.
not here. He did have his report submitted to you for review, so if there's any questions on that, be happy to pass those on to him.
Mr. Chair, same situation also with Kendra from MDHH.
She had to leave. Oh,
I've got hard copies that I'll pass out to the other group.
Okay, very good. That takes us to public comment. So podium is available to anyone who would care to make public comment. Just, again, give us your name and location, and you have 3 minutes. And anyone here or online can join in. I think we're all set then. Without public comment, this meeting is adjourned.